Hello and welcome to this mid-morning taste challenge. I have two 40% alcohol blended Scotch whiskeys. This is McCormick. The distillery was founded in 1856 in Weston, Missouri, the Halliday Distillery. And you can take tours there. Now, this is not made in Missouri. It's bottled in Missouri, but it's made in Scotland. But they no longer show it on their website. So I think it's been discontinued. And actually, I was given this bottle as a gift. My friend David found it for the amazing price of $4.99 for a 1 liter bottle, $4.99. They had cases of it. So I said, maybe they're discontinuing it and they're trying to dump it. And that must be the case. And they also had plastic bottles, which I found was bizarre. But it's got a label, looks like a yellow picnic table, a yellow picnic table cover. And it's got some red, white, gold, olive green, 2 shades of yellow. So it's a nice looking label. I like picnics. There's a Scottish bagpipe on there. I would be shocked if this was actually sold in Scotland. I think it's an export only item. But like I say, I think it's discontinued. Herbie in India says widely available in India. McCormick? Are you sure about McCormick? Or are you talking about McDowell's? All right. Dewar's, age 12 years. I don't know when this was introduced. Sometime not that long ago, like 10 years ago. It's a brown glass bottle, which helps protect it from the light. They call this a handle because it's got a gripper area on the back where you can handle it without dropping it. This nickname is the Ancestor. But this was discontinued in 2022 and replaced with a new Dewar's 12 year, which I've not tried, nor have I purchased. When I found this a few years ago, it was for an amazing price of $14.99 for this beautiful embossed glass jug bottle. True story, $14.99. Sounds like a lot. They had 3 bottles. I bought one. My friend David bought one. And then he was saying, you ought to buy the other one. I said, no, let somebody else get it. It's going to take me a lifetime to get through this. Not literally, but figuratively. There's the 3Ds interlocking for John Dewar and his 2 sons. Currently owned by Bacardi Limited. They bought it. And apparently the 18th owner of it. It's been passed around. But Dewar's is very popular in the United States. The most popular one, of course, is the non-age stated white label. But you will see the 12-year at many, not all, but many stores. Let me be careful when I pour it. Don't want to pour too much. So yeah, $14.99. Is that the best deal I've ever gotten on Scotch whiskey? It's close to it. It's got to be the best, considering it's an extra age version. It sounds like I'm making it up. I know it doesn't sound right, but it is the truth. And my friend David blew through his bottle. I've been nursing mine. Let's see, divided by 1750 times 643, 642. Yeah, it would be like buying a regular size bottle of Dewar's 12 years for $6.43, 42 cents. It ain't gonna happen. Maybe $53. Or I'm exaggerating. Maybe like $35, 36. So to find a $35 bottle for $6 is amazing. To find a $65 bottle for $14.99 is amazing, because these do run about $65 for your regular price. So that is an awesome deal. Awesome. $4.99 is amazing for this. Not that it's any kind of world-class item, but it's certainly not bad. A lot of people just wouldn't buy this because it's an unknown brand or relatively unknown. You know, they would just call it a off brand, as people say. But actually, McCormick is pretty well known in Louisiana. We get their gin, their vodka, and their American blended whiskey, and it's pretty common. Now the Scotch, no, that wasn't ever common. In fact, I never saw it in my town. And Five Farms, they don't make Five Farms; they just handle it. They handle the distribution in the United States and the importation. That's an awesome Irish cream. I see Five Farms at a lot of stores. And that tarantula tequila, that rose, what is it? It's a tequila cream liqueur. I see that around. That's a good one. That's one they handle. All right, so you get a clear straw appearance, and then with the Dewars, you get a much darker amber heading toward copper. Is it colored with caramel colorant? It might be. It doesn't say. It probably is. It doesn't say natural color. Joe Hill says, Fandango Friday this week? Yes. I was going to work at the fair, but all the slots were taken for Friday night. So we'll see. Maybe Sunday I'll work there. And have you tried the Pabst Light? No, they were supposed to send me some. They contacted me back in March saying, which is last month, saying, would you like to review Pabst Light? We'll send you some. I said, okay. Didn't come in. I contacted them and I said, what happened with the shipment? Oh yeah, something happened. But we're going to send it probably this Thursday. That was 2 weeks ago. So I just gave up on it. I'm definitely not going to contact them again. I'm not begging for any beer, but I'm definitely not begging for Pabst Light. Now, if it was Pabst and Imperial Stout at 14%, yeah, I might call them back. But I mean, it's a mass-produced brand. It'll probably show up around here in my town tomorrow or something. So I'm not dying to buy a light beer, but I will buy it and review it. And I'm going to talk about how they came to me and they didn't come through with the deal. I grabbed a 6-pack last night. Oh, the tall cans? Yeah. Did you like it? I'd be curious to try it. All right, so no, I don't expect any beer company to send me anything or liquor or wine. Okay, I can buy my own stuff. That's not the issue. It's when you contact me and you tell me, yeah, it's coming in, then and it doesn't happen, and I come back to you and it's like, what's going on? Oh yeah, it's coming in, and it doesn't show up. Then I know something ain't right. You don't send me a tracking number. You just basically disappear. And the lady told me, we're a small but mighty promotional company for Pabst. I said, yeah. I'm thinking small and not able to do the job. Obviously not able to do the job. The job wasn't done, was it? So, and I'm not stressing over it. I'm not worrying about it. Now, a fellow beer reviewer, he was getting really upset about it. He was contacting me and saying, we got scammed. I said, we didn't get scammed. I said, remember, you're talking about Pabst. They have trouble walking across a room. I mean, you're not talking about Anheuser-Busch or Miller or somebody. If they say they're going to send you something, it's going to come in, But so we are talking about Pabst. You're kind of a bumbling company. And he was like, yeah. And then I told him I called the lady, and he was like, oh, great. But still nothing happened. I said, just forget about it. That's how they are. It's not a scam. It's just they don't. But actually, in the past, they did always come through with the Schlitz. I got it. Got the T-shirt and everything, the Schlitz. The Lone Star and Lone Star Light, I got that. So I don't know. But over the last few years, things do seem to have deteriorated with them. They can't do a website correctly. Or I should say they won't do it correctly. You get on their websites, it's a joke. They're switching distribution to Anheuser-Busch people. And the Miller guy told me, he said, good. That stuff doesn't sell anyway. This is his words, not mine. He says, what do you say? That stuff's slow. That's what we say. It's slow anyway. In other words, those Miller guys work on commission. They're distributor guys. They get paid by how much sells. So if it don't sell, they don't want it. And that was his first response. Good. It's slow. I had one last night and I did enjoy it. I would say Miller Lite would still be a tier above it for me. So preferable like it, but it's right up there with Miller, Michelob, etc. Okay, I've seen Outlaw at my local liquor store. I don't know anything about the brand, so I didn't grab it. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. That's why I got this T-shirt because the company watched my review and they were like, "Oh man," and they were so excited and had a good discussion with their CEO on the internet face-to-face things. And yeah, I recommend it. Plus $8.99 a 12-pack. Yes, indeed. Okay, but back to these. One is a famous brand, Dewar's. The other one is an outlier. But there's probably 1,000 outlier Scotch brands. I'm telling you, there's probably 1,000 blended Scotch brands that hardly anybody ever tried, except for the few million who tried them. You know what I'm saying? But they're not like on the internet. You don't see YouTube videos for them. Nobody's talking about them. It's just kind of like obscure. No, I mean. Now, and then there's probably 500 single malt brands that are the same way. They're just obscure. But that doesn't mean they're bad. It might mean they're very good, but some of them might fail and the company go out of business because it's just hard to get people to try stuff. I've found that out in my life. People do not like to deviate from if like, let's say they drink Dewar's. They say, I drink Dewar's. That's what I want. Nothing wrong with that. I say, but did you ever think about trying any other blended Scotch whiskeys? No. I hate all that stuff. They hate it all. They never tried it, but they hate it. I say, oh, okay. I know a man, he drinks Crown Royal, maybe too much Crown Royal if you get where I'm going with that. But he's always buying Crown Royal, Crown Royal, Crown Royal, Crown Royal. I said, you ever tried any of the variants like Crown Royal Special Reserve or Crown Royal Black? He looked at me confused like, oh, those are made? He didn't say that, but he was looking at me like, no. And I think he just looked on the shelf. He never, like, his mind was only focused on Crown Royal. Like, you don't realize they got like multiple variants. I was like, yeah, but you ought to try the black. I said, man, it's really robust, got a lot of extra flavor on it. He was like, oh, okay. I like my Crown Royal. And I'm thinking he ain't going to try it. He'll never try it. I told him the other day, I said, guess what I bought? What? I said, I bought Crown Royal Special Reserve. He didn't know what that was. I said, age 12 years. He seemed kind of lit when I was talking to him, maybe like he was a little loaded, but he was like, so it's age 12 years. What you trying to say? I said, the youngest whiskey is 12 years. Could be longer, but the youngest whiskey, he didn't understand, but the whole point of that is not to say anything except that people will not deviate. Not going to deviate. Drink Budweiser. I drink Budweiser. You ever tried the Budweiser Jim Beam? Oh, that stuff's probably nasty. Based on what? You're basing that on what? Oh, you never tried it, so it's probably nasty. Okay. All right. And I don't care what the product is. Could be hot sauce, mayonnaise, beer. They don't want to deviate. I gotta have Dukes. It's like, wait, they got like 8 different mayonnaise brands at that store. I don't want to put that garbage on my sandwich. And it's garbage because you never had it. That's how you determine that. You, says Burley. Cheers back to you. And don't even mention bacon. That Budweiser Jim Beam was a respectable beer, says Wings and Pizza. It was more than respectable. It was doggone good. But like bacon, don't mention that. People are latched onto a brand like that might be the most fanatical product. It's like, man, you ever notice how many brands of bacon they have? I ain't trying that junk. But enough ranting on that. This smells kind of regular, you know. Anything special? No, nah. Anything bad about it? No. Is it just kind of like regular old whiskey? Yeah. Smoke? Nah. Peat? There might be a little peat, but there might not be. But I don't think you would smell that and think it was Canadian or American. USA, you know, USA whiskey. You might think it's Irish, though. Oh man, even less aroma. There is some, but you gotta inhale almost where you're sucking up the liquid with just the vacuum. On my last video, I noticed that the McCormick was very neutral in the aroma. And this is very neutral in the aroma, so I'm thinking that must be the McCormick. But I believe very strongly, that the taste is going to give it away. This one tastes like bread, and the crust is left on the bread. Bread and bread crust. Is there a little caramel to it? A little bit of caramel candy, Werther's original. The original one, not the apple flavored or what is the variants. Filled with the apple puree candy. This one's a lot smoother. Smokiness is non-existent. Peatiness is playing no part. But there's like a creaminess to it. Now, didn't I say that McCormick 12 year had a creamy, no creamy feature to it? I think I did say that. That's a big difference. 9 years, 3 year age and 12 year, but it's not coming across like it's a big difference. It's coming across like it's difference. This has oak. A little sharp bite though. Little bit. Not a big sharp bite, a little sharp bite. Not a shark bite. A sharp P as in pencil bite. Sharp bite. Medium body, mostly dry finish. Nothing unusual there. Light to medium body, but medium, low medium, and a dry finish. Most of these whiskeys finish dry, have a medium. You know, they'll taste sweet, but the finish will be dry, meaning not sweet. If it was a beer, you'd say it was crisp. Nothing like a crisp Miller Lite. And it's a game. But as a comic, in all seriousness, I think this is a tough challenge, and I would now. It's going back to the Ancestor. Why would they replace it? It's a mind-boggling thing to me. Seemed like it had a pretty nice following, but maybe the company thought the flavor was not that great. They might have said, it looks nice. I mean, it looks great. Like one of the best looking liquor bottles I ever saw. So it looks perfect, you know, but you ain't going to drink the label. But maybe they thought, you know what? It could be a little bit better. Let's reformulate it. Let's recalibrate it. Let's do it again. And maybe we'll do a new label, which is similar to this, but a little more updated. And we'll promote it, and maybe it'll be a little more popular. So that's what they did. Now, do I plan to buy the new 12 year? I do theoretically plan to buy it. Now, whether I actually ever will, that's another question, because there's like 1,000 brands I want to try, and I never get any momentum going because I'm going. I have to slowly progress through the. Well, I mean the progression, you know. So, and then I got brandy coming up after this. I'm going to brandy after this. I got an American brandy. Is it famous? Nope. It exists, has a website, but it's you know, an outlier of all outliers. But I don't care. I got a good deal on it, and I checked the prices against that deal, and I saved like $40. After brandy, I got rum. After rum, I got tequila. And after tequila, I have rye whiskey, then bourbon, then American blended, then back to bourbon, because I got to double up on bourbon. I'll never finish. Then Canadian blended, then Irish blended, then single malt scotch, and then I get back to the blended scotch. You say, well, that's going to take a year. I know it will take a year, and that's why this goes so slowly. Now you might say, hombre, you ordered too much. You bought too much. You got a house full of too much. My answer would be, yes, that's true. But what is too much? You know, there's no end game anyway. I'm not trying to accomplish anything. I mean, what do you really accomplish? The only purpose of the blind taste test is just to show that you might not want to be as dedicated to a brand as you are, because you might be paying way too much. And if you don't believe me, try a blind taste test. All right, I'm going to say this is the Ancestor. It's got too much cachet, like that's a taste, you know. But it's got, you know what I mean? It's got too much niceties to be the McCormick. I think it's got too much going on with it. It's just a little too developed. I got it. I don't know if I mentioned it to y'all, but I got it. Oh yeah, what a challenge! It was a tough challenge though. I would have thought it would just be a runaway, like Jefferson Starship, you know, run away. Cheers, Louisiana Liquor Review says, Tommy, have you had to build up enough courage to try Limburger cheese? I never had to build up any courage really. It was always expensive, so I never bought it. I would say I ain't paying that. But then one time I was like, yeah, you only live twice, like James Bond said. So Ian Fleming said that. So I thought, I'll buy it. Okay, I'll buy it. And I thought it would taste strange, and it tasted a lot stranger than I had thought. But I loved it. Became addicted. I'll admit it. I was a Limburger cheese addict. I didn't go to therapy. I just stopped buying it because they stopped selling it around here. Apparently, I was the only one who was addicted to it. It kept going out of date, and the store kept having to throw it out. They're like, kill it. Ain't nobody going to miss Limburger, and apparently nobody has except me. So yeah, that's what happened. But courage, no, I used to love eating that stuff. Like a fiend, like a madman. Madman on the water. Clancy Woodard says, I bought a bottle of Dewar's 12 and I wasn't a fan. Clancy, how could you say that on the internet? Joe Cobb says, hope you're well, Ron. I am. So there's actually a method to your madness. Louisiana Liquor Reviews laughing out loud. There's a method. But it takes so long to develop that you don't notice it. You know, it seems like there's no pattern to it, but there's a pattern. If you watch carefully, you'll see the pattern. It's always that same pattern. blended Scotch, brandy, or cognac brandy, but it's the same thing. Rum, tequila, mezcal, rye, whiskey, bourbon, American blended whiskey, back to bourbon, Canadian blended whiskey, Irish blended whiskey, single malt Scotch, and then back to blended Scotch. It goes in that circle. Goes around and around and around like a hamster wheel, and you don't get anywhere. Hamsters don't get anywhere. They're in a cage. But that's fine with me because I'm not trying to get anywhere. Don't ever judge people. No, but you know what I'm saying. I'm just trying to taste the products. Okay. If you taste them with your eyes open and you know which is which, that's a waste of your time, because you've got these built-in thoughts. You got thoughts. Even you say, I don't have any biases. I'm not biased. I'm not prejudiced. I have no preconceived ideas. Okay. Everyone has that. So like Styx would say, you're fooling yourself, but you don't believe it. But you need to get up, get back on your feet, and do some blind taste tests. Because why should you be such an angry young man? Or a middle-aged man, or old man? $24 and so much more. All right, anyway, I got to go catch the Cripple Creek Ferry. Do the taste challenge. Jaime Torres says, do the taste challenge between Earthquake Blackberry and Steel Reserve Blackberry. I bet you can't tell the difference between the two. Well, there's one little problem with that, Jamie. Heine, I can get the Steel Reserve Alloy Series Blackberry, and I like it with natural flavors, but I can't get the Earthquake Blackberry unless I go to southern Mississippi along the Gulf Coast, which is not close to me. I mean, it's close to me compared to New York City, but it's not close to me. I'm not driving an hour to find that. And what am I saying? It'd be at least 2 hours. With artificial flavors. Now, you might be right. Maybe I can't tell them apart, but I'm not making a special trip. Now, if I stumble across the Earthquake Blueberry, yeah, I'm gonna buy it. Not the blueberry, the blackberry. I'll buy it in a snap. I'll do it. I'll do it for my viewers, no problem. Or juice blackberry. No, wait a minute. Hold on. Now we're switching up the game. Because juice, which I have seen in Mississippi, but it's a different one. It's only 10% Mississippi. It's like a watered down Mississippi burning type product. It's not the regular 14% that I found in Alaska in 2023. Remember, I did the tall can of the juice blackberry in Alaska like at 4 a.m, and it was daylight. 4 a.m. was daylight. But that's it's got natural flavors against the Steel Reserve Alloy. That could be a challenge. Now, you got me there. That could be a challenge. But now, wait a minute. Steel Reserve is only 8%, and the juice blackberry is 14%. I think I could tell those apart. But boy, I drank that whole thing, and I went to the state capitol, and I was like, oh, look at all the pictures in the state capitol. They got a lot of pictures in the state capitol. Luckily, I was walking around. All right. Beautiful state capitol, I might add. But anyway, right in the middle of the street. It's not like set apart like on this big precipice, like a lot of state capitals. It's like you get there and it's like, oh, look, it's on a mountain, it's on a hill, and there's a promenade leading up to it. And it's so wonderful, like Louisiana or Texas. And Alaska is just like in the middle of the town. And there's a, office building across the street. This is like a big office building. But you go inside and it's got the 2 chambers and everything. It's pretty nice. It's actually very nice. Okay. And I loved Alaska's. I loved Hawaii's state capitol, but it was locked. The House and the Senate was locked because they weren't in session. And I don't know why the security guard didn't just open the door. You know, he could have said, "I'll show you around." Because I've been to some tourist things like where it was closed, you know, and then the guy was like, "I'll show you around," and they unlocked it and they showed me around, you know. But no, not there. He just said, "You could look." What did he tell me? Put your digital camera up to the window and like take a photo through there. I was like, what? But the thing about Alaska State Capitol is not enclosed. It's outside. What I mean is there's no it's like it's like built in a square, you know, and in the middle is nothing but like a fountain, and it goes up and the sun comes down to the middle, and it's no air conditioning. It's just like natural breezes. Well, I mean, the Senate chamber and the House of Representatives chamber, they probably air conditioned, I'm sure. They're enclosed, but in the office buildings. But the whole thing, when you walk around, there's no air conditioning. I've never been in a Capitol like that. You don't come to a place like Las Vegas and talk to a man like Mo Green like that. But you know, but it was so interesting, you know. Now Baton Rouge State Capitals are like a skyscraper. I don't know what they put in all those floors. Like, what's in all those floors? There's got to be offices. Like, what is in those floors? All right. Anyway, enough of this. The winner clearly is Dewar's 12-year, but it wasn't as big a winner as we would have assumed. It did win. It did win. But you start to question it like, man, this thing is like $56 for this handle at the low end. And a handle of this might be like 26. So we're talking about $30 difference. $30 difference. But it ain't really coming across like it's that much better. It's better, but it's not that much better. So I'm thinking, yeah, maybe that's why the company changed the recipe and thought, I just think internally they thought this stuff's not that great. Let's redo it, make it better. Nothing wrong with making it better. Okay. So anyway, thank you everybody for watching, all the great comments. We had really good comments this morning. And what's coming up next? Well, I think it's going to be Valentine's Finest. You say Valentine's, that's a big one. That's a big brand. It is a big brand. And I bought a big bottle. I had to buy the handle because it was so much cheaper per ounce. Like you could buy the regular Valentine. It was like, you know, a pretty good deal. It was a good deal. But if you bought the handle, the big glass bottle with the thing on the back where you could hold it, it was a much better deal. It wasn't even close. So I said, I'm buying that without any kind of reticence. And oh, what a product. Now some people tell me, oh, I hate that stuff. That stuff's terrible. I was like, what are you talking about? I think Valentine might be my favorite blended Scotch, you know, regular blended Scotch whiskey. I think it's so good. And somebody gave me some old 1970 bottles. She lives next door, and a hurricane happened, and we were hanging out together a lot after the hurricane because my fence was blown down, which her husband rebuilt because that's what he does. He's a contractor, he builds stuff. But after the hurricane, there was no electricity. We were all kind of like out of it. Like you get disoriented after a hurricane, like you kind of like wandering around lost in the fog. Like it's really hard because you got no electricity, no water even. It's very bad. So, but we were hanging out and they were drinking two different beers. What were they drinking? Michelob Ultra and Miller Lite. I don't know why they mixing those two, but they always only drink pint cans. But she was like, "You want to try this liquor?" You know, and then she had these bottles of Valentine's Finest. They were like 200 milliliter bottles, 100 milliliters, glass. I said, "Well, where'd you get those?" "Oh, we went to an estate sale. Some old person had died, and they were $1 a piece." So she paid $3, got 3 bottles. I said, "Well, why'd you buy those?" Well, because they were $1. I said, you're not going to drink them? No, never. So she said, you could have them. I ain't turning that down. And then she said, I got this bottle of cognac. They got it for $1. So she paid $4, right? Paid $4. She got a bottle of cognac and 3 bottles of Downtime's Finest, which was fabulous, just as good as today. Today as good as then, and then as good as today. It was like there's no change. Like those 1970 bottles taste exactly the same as now. I'm telling you, exactly the same, which means great. And I was looking at this cognac, and I just couldn't get over it. And I started looking at the tags on the side, and I was like, so I have to have a heart attack. I was like, this is from 1954. She's like, what? I said, it's from 1954. The bottle is from 1954. I said, you sure you want to give this to me? I think you want to drink it. She's like, no, I'm never going to drink that. It was $1, so I bought it. So, of course, I took it, and I still have the bottle. And it's amazing. Not that it aged since 1954 in the bottle, because they do not age in the bottle. They just kind of like stay in a stasis, animated, suspended animation kind of status. But couldn't believe she found that. And I was thinking, I need to start going to these estate sales. $1. And I started checking the prices online. Oh, well, okay. A regular bottle of that on the low end is like $39 if you're lucky. And I'm talking about current bottles. And she found it for $1. All right. So the amazing world of liquor continues on. Thank you for watching. Cheers to Dewars for winning, but 2 thumbs down for not winning that much. Not winning by too much of a margin. It should have been a blowout, and it wasn't really a blowout. Like, how you have a real good team you follow, and you're like, well, they beat Tampa Bay. But it wasn't that good of a win. It was like, why did they struggle? This team's supposed to be so great. And they won on a last-second field goal. It's like, well, that ain't – or had a last-second single, and a guy came in from third and scored. But it's like, well, wait a minute. What's with all the struggling? You're supposed to be so great. Y'all supposed to be the Bombers, the great team. Y'all bought this team. And oh, you said, we're in first place. Yeah, but barely in first place. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.